Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. We are officially starting this meeting. And if you have a cell phone, would you please turn it off or put it on silence so that our speakers are not interrupted by. Anyway, appreciate all of you coming out and listening to how to prepare for disaster, which is going to be our theme today. Not yet. Today we have Michelle Lorenzo, who is from our local Terra Santa Preparedness Group, which is part of our Terra Santa Community Council, and she's going to introduce Ed and Cody, who are from the County Office of Emergency Services. So I'm going to just turn over the meeting to them so they can do their thing. Hi, John.
Hello, neighbors. I'm Michelle Lorenzo, and I'm part of a newly formed volunteer group here in Terra Santa, and we're called the Prepare Terra Santa Fire Safe Council. Just became a Fire Safe Council 3 weeks ago, so we're super happy.
We need it.
Yeah. So our purpose is to help foster preparedness culture amongst all of us, businesses and schools included. We're a committee under the Terra Santa Town Council, by the way. We're in a fact-finding phase right now since we're new, but the Fire Safe Council in San Diego here is working closely with us, and a number of our neighboring communities like Kensington, Talmadge, Penasquitos, or Poway have all stepped up, offered, talked, come and spoken with us, and really tried to help guide us to get going because they know we need to make the best use of our resources. So I strongly suggest that you visit our website, which is prepareterrasanta.com. If you need a visual, Prepare Terra Santa. So prepareterrasanta.com should hook you up. It'll lock you into information that may be crucial to your preparedness mindset. We will keep a calendar of our events and presentations at that website, but importantly, we will stay in contact with you in Terra Santa Village so you know the things that are happening and you could participate. And I'm going to leave you guys especially out of the loop. The information we will be providing will always be official, approved facts gathered from, to name a few, our state and local fire services, the American Red Cross, the Fire Safe Council of San Diego County, and San Diego County Office of Emergency Services, where our friends are from today. So finally, I'm happy to report that in our group of volunteers, we're 4 core and about 17 in a cloud there that touch base, but we're all, well, not me necessarily. I've got the energy, they've got the training and background. How about that? But many of them are well trained, and such as Edwin Oyola, who's here to speak with us next. And Edwin and his colleague, Cody Gallagher, are graciously here from San Diego County Office of Emergency Services. So I will hand it over to them now.
Thank you. I will not be speaking today, so you're missing out on my alert and warning presentation. So I'm with the County Office of Emergency Services. I am the alert and warning coordinator. I'm also on the evacuation committee for the entire county. So essentially what we do is we all get together after disasters, and we'll go through like what happened, how did the evacuations go, and I essentially do these presentations to let you know how San Diego City, County of San Diego, and any other jurisdictions handle evacuations and what you can expect. But the better presentation is going to be recovery, actually, and Cody has one of the greatest presentations of recovery. It's very eye-opening, and I'll let you take it. You guys will get a presentation from me eventually. I'm great.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. As Edwin mentioned, my name is Cody Gallagher. I'm a Senior Emergency Services Coordinator with the County's Office of Emergency Services, and wanted to come to talk a little bit about recovery today. Many times, a lot of groups have disaster preparedness presentations by Red Cross or Animal Services, You usually hear from our sheriff's department or CAL FIRE or whatever your local fire or law enforcement department is about evacuations, how to stay informed during that time. But what we found is a lot of the times they don't talk to you about disaster recovery. It's usually the hardest, most complex phase of any disaster. Hopefully you don't find yourself in that, but we have several families that are actually experiencing it right now in Lakeside after the Coaches fire. If you all saw that on the news, it happened about a month ago. We lost about 5 primary residential structures there. So those families are currently going through the disaster recovery process right now. And then if you remember about a year ago, we had the Palisades and the Eaton fire up in Los Angeles County. Thousands of homes lost, many families and people going through the disaster recovery phase. And so what we've tried to do is really do some outreach to the community and kind of educate you a little bit on what disaster recovery looks like and kind of how to navigate some of those things so that you're a little bit more knowledgeable if you find yourself in that situation or you have a family or friend that finds themselves in that situation. So with that, we are going to go over a few different topics today. Can you all see? I don't want to stand in your way here. We're going to go over a few different topics today. Feel free to raise your hand or ask a lot of questions. Again, it's a very complex world in the disaster recovery section, but I've tried to break it down as best I can to cover everything I know in my brain in about 30 minutes. So with that, we'll talk first a little bit about that not all disasters are created equal when it comes to disaster recovery. About 5 years ago, we had what we called the Valley Fire here in San Diego County. We did lose about 30 to 50 structures up in North County, and that did actually receive federal assistance back on October 16th. But you'll see there, the fire actually began on September 5th. So that was a long time in between federal assistance actually being approved, right? So evacuations lifted, several people went back to their homes, burned to the ground completely. It took over a month and a half for the federal government to approve them for a federal disaster declaration. However, we've seen the Los Angeles County Palisades fire. Theirs began on January 7th, and they were actually approved on January 8th. So that's just kind of to set the stage that assistance might not always be readily available. When you have a catastrophic disaster like Los Angeles, the federal government may be there the next day, but it's also possible that you went back to your home after the Valley Fire and waited a month and a half for the federal government to show up. Sometimes they never show. So it's just important to understand that not all disaster when it comes to disaster recovery.
That's a very tinny sounding speaker.
Sorry. Wanted to touch a little bit about that. That is probably the biggest and most important piece as a private resident here in the county. How many of you own your home? How many of you have homeowners insurance? Insurance. How many of you have fire coverage for that homeowner's insurance? How many of you are unsure what your insurance covers? How many of you have flood insurance?
Used to.
Used to? No? How about earthquake insurance?
No.
Couple people? No? Okay. So the point that I wanted to make there was that some people have no insurance, which puts you in a very hard spot for disaster recovery. The federal government, the state government, even our local government here can be very slow to respond to your needs. When you return to your home and it's been burned to the ground or flooded out, you might be on your own. So insurance is by far the best way to recover as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But the point I'm making there is to make sure you actually know what your policy covers. My insurance agent hates me. I know that because I can hear her sigh on the phone every time I call her every year to talk about my insurance policy because I live in this world. And she probably knows I'm going to call every year because I really want to understand what my homeowner's insurance policy covers. What we found during our January 2024 storm, the big flood that hit mostly Southeast San Diego, right? A lot of those folks did not have flood insurance. And your homeowner's insurance might say, if a water pipe breaks and the water is inside going out, you're good, you're covered. As soon as the water is outside coming in, we're not going to cover that. And so a lot of these folks found themselves, unfortunately, in a really hard, tough spot where they had homeowner's insurance, but it didn't cover that specific damage. Earthquake insurance is the same thing as well. Yes.
I thought you couldn't get flood insurance unless you're on the National Flood Insurance.
You can actually do it. There is different providers out there for that. That's what unfortunately a lot of these people found out was that they weren't necessarily in a flood zone, so they didn't necessarily think about it ahead of time, but they were next to a large city, channel or something like that. And so flood insurance, I actually have earthquake insurance as well. My risk is relatively low. But I want it because my home is much older, and it is built kind of similar near to a fault. So the California Department of Insurance also has a hotline that you can call to help navigate that policy. So again, it's just always good. Review your policy, know what your risks are, make sure that it's up to date, and then talk to your insurance company. They always like to put the form in the very end that says these are all the changes that have happened this year, and they always put it in the back because you're so bored looking through it that you usually never get there. So make sure you're just aware again of your insurance policy because that's the best way to recover in a disaster. Staying informed. You probably heard this a lot during your preparedness presentations, right? How do you prepare during the response, as Edwin mentioned, with alert and warning? What are the tools to help stay informed? Recovery is no different. And so the main things I wanted to emphasize here, alertsandiego.org. That is also where you would go for your response stuff. So that's where we have our evacuation map. That's where we have our incident updates. But that's also where we would post recovery updates. Hey, we've been approved for federal assistance. They are coming to town. We are opening up a local assistance center. We are going to hold a press conference about local updates. That is all going to be found on our San Diego website. The SD Emergency app, how many of you have that on your phone? A couple of you? So that is an exact mirror of what's on the website, but on your mobile device. So I'd strongly encourage you all to get that. You can also get push notifications on that. If you sign up for those push notifications to come through, if we have a big event, we'll push those notifications through on there. But again, it also helps you navigate the recovery space as we continue to update the website. CountyNewsCenter.com, that is our county news center. So that's ran by our county communications office. They are always putting out stories during the recovery process about things that are being updated. So it's another good area to follow. If any of you have social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we are on all those platforms and are pushing updates on there as well. And the last one you see down there at the bottom there, that was after the Tropical Storm Hillary. So press conferences, if you ever hear about a press conference being put on, that's always good to turn into because we usually have our county board of supervisors. We'll have our county office of emergency services director on there as well. So always tuning into those as well as your local news channels is another good way to stay informed. So you kind of have 5 different avenues on there, and each one will give you at least a piece of information to help kind of stay on the forefront of disaster recovery. Public damage assessment, we have really changed the game. Luckily, we were in a really good spot during the floods. Is anyone from like the South or Florida or anything like that? Anyone from hurricane country? Okay, I am not. I am born and raised here in San Diego. I am unfamiliar with hurricanes. However, after the flooding, it looked like a hurricane had hit for about a day. And after that, the water had receded, which made it extremely hard for our office to really understand how big and how bad the flood impacts were to the community because the water was just gone. You saw water lines here and there. So how did we end up doing that? How did we convey to the state and the federal government of how big and how bad that flood actually was? Is we asked the public, you all, for a survey. And we sent that out using one of our new systems. And on the right there, you'll actually see the map that is created when the public submits surveys. It created this great live map that had all the surveys that were being submitted. It allowed us to pinpoint damages within the community, hot spots where the flooding had actually occurred, even though there was no water left. And then it allowed the residents to actually submit photos to us, describe their damages, talk to us about their insurance, and provide their contact information. And so we took that and basically packaged it up, sent it up to the state and the federal government and said, even though the water is gone, it doesn't look like a hurricane anymore, our residents are hurting. And so my biggest thing there is that when you see something like this after a disaster that says, was your home or business impacted by a fire or a flood, you submit a survey to us because that helps us convey to the state and the feds that we need the assistance and these are the impacts to our local residents. The other big thing there is reverse messaging. For the first time, one of our hardest things, your home is impacted, but we don't know who you are. And we don't know what avenue to contact you to say, hey, these things are coming down and we want you to be a part of it on the recovery side. But how do we do that? And so what we ended up doing was we took those public surveys where you gave us your contact information, and then we used our mass notification system, plugged your information into that, and then reversed message to you and said, hey, we understand you submitted a survey. We are opening up a local assistance center at the Spring Valley Library. Then when we got approved for federal assistance, we understand you were impacted. Federal assistance had been approved. Please go to the FEMA website and apply for assistance. And so that public survey changed the game for the floods for us. That is something we had never done before. And we ended up getting and securing federal assistance, which, to be honest with you, is becoming harder and harder to get. The feds are looking at the Eaton fire, the Palisades fire. They want 800, 1,000 homes lost, but even 50 homes lost. Even the Cochise fire with 6 homes lost, right? I've got to talk to those 6 families and say that everything they owned in the home that is gone now, right? How do they rebuild? They're on a fixed income. They didn't have insurance, debris removal, all that stuff. Very, very heartbreaking things. So for me, having that public damage input was absolutely critical to that. So if you ever have a big disaster here in San Diego County, we ask you to report your damages. Please do that because that's the best way for us to communicate with you. Proclamations, declarations. I'm not going to get too into the weeds on this one because again, we only have 30 minutes. But the big thing I wanted to convey is you have a lot of local leaders. You have a lot of politicians, the governor, the board of supervisors, the president, FEMA, get up and say, we've proclaimed a local emergency. I'm proclaiming a state of emergency. What does it actually mean for you? And so the big thing on here is that a lot of these don't mean much for you, actually. It is a step in the right direction, but I'm going to tell you the biggest 2 key ones that you really want to hear, and probably the biggest misstep that people hit. And so local emergencies and state of emergencies really just waive some stuff for you. They waive rebuilding fees, generator run times, tax deadlines. It helps, right? But you're like, I just lost my home. What's actually going to help me recover? And so the big one you want to watch out for is the Presidential Disaster Declaration at the federal level. But there are different types. And one of the biggest, most idiotic named ones is a Presidential Disaster Declaration, a major one for public assistance. And you're like, I'm a member of the public. That's what I want. That is not what you want. Public assistance is us, the government. We like public assistance. You want individual assistance. That's the one you want to seek. So until you see a presidential major disaster declaration with individual assistance come up, the feds are not coming to town. No one is cutting you a check to help at that point. That's the big one. The Fire Management Assistance Grant, you see that a lot during fires, and unfortunately it's kind of umbrellaed with the governor and the state and the locals saying we've secured federal assistance, and it is a federal program, but it isn't a disaster declaration. It's actually to help with firefighting resources and, again, government reimbursement. So you really want to watch out again for that major presidential disaster declaration for individual assistance. A couple other ones here. Local public health emergencies, probably no one really knew what that was until about 2020. Then everybody knew what it meant. The U.S. Department of Agriculture also has some. If you have livestock or a lot of farm land, they do have some emergency programs for that. But the other big one that I wanted to focus on is the Small Business Administration Disaster Declaration. You're like, Cody, I don't own a business. Or does anyone own a business? All right, perfect. The example works then. Cody, I don't own a business. Why would I care if the Small Business Administration approves a disaster declaration? Because unfortunately, due to the name, you'd think it's only for businesses. It's actually for private residents as well. And we're going to talk about what some of those resources are. They are low interest loans, so they are not federal money. So FEMA will give you grant money where you don't have to pay it back. It's not taxed. It's just money in your pocket. These are low interest loans, but they're 12 months deferred payments. They're under 4%. They're $500,000 for repairs. So it's a good deal. And these, much smaller threshold. I only need 25 homes with 40% or more uninsured damages to get this disaster declaration. For FEMA, again, they're talking hundreds of homes. So 9 times out of 10, if we have a pretty sizable event here in San Diego County, Small Business Administration will come to town. Even if we don't get FEMA, there will still be some type of assistance. And if you are impacted, you should absolutely apply through them. Local assistance centers. Has anyone ever been to one of our local assistance centers or know someone that has? Is anyone familiar with them? Okay. So local assistance centers are something that we, the county, will stand up after a large disaster with residential impact. So we did one for the floods. We opened up Spring Valley Library. And what these are they are brick and mortar, one-stop shop where we bring in local partners, we bring in state partners, and we bring in our non-governmental partners and a few federal folks, not FEMA, but usually like the post office, Social Security Administration, and we bring them all to one location for a short period of time. And that's so you don't have to sit on a phone queue and try to figure things out. It's so you don't have to email anybody. You come and all the services are there, live person, for free for you to network with. So if we ever have a large disaster here in San Diego County and you hear about a local assistance center opening up, you should absolutely go to that location because again, we had over 40 different providers there for the Spring Valley Library for the floods. And I'll show you some of those statistics here. The big things to note here, it is for short-term recovery. So FEMA's not in town. It is not going to make you whole. And it's going to be for a very short period of time that this local assistance center is open.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
When do you open it?
So normally it's once life safety is over. So once evacuations have been lifted and you have all returned home, we usually try to give people a couple days to assess what am I missing, where do I need, what are my needs exactly. So for the floods happened on a Monday. By that Sunday, we had opened one. And that was, again, because we didn't know what the impacts were or anything like that. For a fire, obviously, we know more when the evacuations are going to be lifted. So our goal is evacuations are lifted. People have a day to go back and verify if they've lost everything. And then the local assistance center is opening up that following day. That's our goal. So it's quick, very quick. Here are some statistics that we had from our Spring Valley Local Assistance Center. So we had actually 45 service providers there on site. We had over 1,300 households come through in just 4 days, because again, that was a big portion of the county. We have over 6,000 service interactions. So that's each person at a table. Every time they spoke to someone and provided guidance, they did a little check mark. We had over 6,000 in 4 days. 400 pounds of pet food was provided by our county animal services. Again, totally for free. No questions asked. You come to the table. I was impacted. Here's a bag of dog food. Here's a bag of cat food. Our county public works, they can't be everywhere. They had 126 new requests to go out and look at drainage ditches, culverts, blockages. We also had our county recorder, county clerk. I had no idea what they did. No one ever talked to me in college or in high school. And they said, do you want to be a recorder, county clerk? They actually provide vital records replacements, marriage, death, birth, home deeds, all of that stuff that people lost in the floods or in a fire. They will print. We had over 500 vital records printed in 4 days. They are on site at the Spring Valley Library for people. San Diego Food Bank, we have our non-governmental partners that are also there as well. Over 100,000 pounds of food was given out. Again, no questions asked. We're not verifying your license or anything like that. They brought basically a whole grocery store. They dumped like a half trailer in the parking lot and just put out tables of food. 91 replacements for Social Security Administration. I mentioned we had a few federal partners. So again, trying to navigate the website, call, you lost your Social Security Administration card. We had 91 replacement applications done there on site in 4 days. Salvation Army, Red Cross, big non-governmental partners. They're probably the most familiar within the community. They both were there. Salvation Army gave out over $30,000 to folks there on site, and the Red Cross had 219 more addresses to go verify damages and provide assistance to. And that was all, again, within 4 days. So the local assistance centers are very impactful, a great opportunity for people who are impacted to get some resources. But again, can't stress enough, it's not going to make you whole. No one is walking away with a rebuilt home after these.
How long have you been doing these local area assistance things?
They've been around for a while. I've only been with the county for 4 years, but it's a very common practice. I know we've done as far back as 2003, 2007. They had them back then even. So it's a common practice. It's morphed over time. We've changed a couple of things. But yeah, they've been around it's always been kind of a standing best practice. A little bit again of expectations. So just because we have a disaster doesn't mean we have a lack. Coach's fire happened. We lost 6 homes. We weren't going to bring 40 service providers to bear and do all the logistics behind that. We did do a community outreach event at the Lakeside Library, kind of more tailored down event, but just because we have a disaster doesn't necessarily mean a LAC is going to open. They are a short lifespan, usually 3 to 7 days. However, if we had like a Palisades or an Eden fire in Los Angeles, it's possible we'll have it open for maybe a week or 2, but it's not 6 months. It's not a month. It's usually just about a week or so. Once opened, again, the question about when do they open them, usually life safety. Evacuations are done, we open up a LAC. Won't return you to pre-disaster conditions. We really emphasize that. Again, no one is writing you a $50,000 check at these things. No one is going to offer to rebuild your home at these, but it will give you some resources to get through that short-term recovery. And then the big thing here is usually we try to open them up quick. The federal government, as we all know, does not move quickly. And so usually FEMA is not here at this point. But if FEMA is approved, if you get that major disaster declaration for individual assistance, they will send 2 things here: disaster recovery teams and disaster recovery centers. They're a little bit different. We've got our disaster recovery centers. They're like a LAC, but for feds. And so they have FEMA there, they've got Small Business Administration, they have the Federal Department of Insurance up there. They've got some flood people who can come as well from that, if that is a factor in it. They usually have a couple other folks from the federal side. So not as many providers, but federal resources. Then we have our folks up there on the left-hand side. They actually have what they call disaster survivor assistance teams. They are both there before the Disaster Recovery Center and after. They're mobile teams. So they will actually go out with an iPad into the community and knock on doors and say, were you impacted? Yeah. Would you like to sign up for FEMA assistance? Yep. Okay, we'll do it right there on the spot. And that's so if people can't make it to the disaster recovery centers that are, again, that brick and mortar location, they'll actually go out and do that. And we ended up deploying them again through that map that I showed you, where people submitted their damages. We said, this is a hot spot. We don't know if everyone's going to get to this disaster recovery center. Can you send the disaster survivor assistance team out there to knock on doors? The only downside to them is that they can only do federal assistance. So if you want more information on Small Business Administration, you'd have to go to that disaster recovery center.
Just a little delay.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Wanted to talk a little bit about expectations, because again, I've said it a couple times, right? Won't return you to pre-disaster, a pre-disaster lifestyle, right? You lose your home, no one's probably going to rebuild it for free. And so what I wanted to emphasize here is there are two buckets. So even if we got a federal disaster declaration, FEMA came to town, you've lost everything. There are two different buckets that are available. Housing assistance, other needs assessment. That is the total amount that you are all eligible for, $87,200. So if you qualified for FEMA assistance and you got the max amount, you would only walk away with $87,000, which isn't frankly enough to replace everything and rebuild your home. There are other things. There's crisis counseling, case management, legal services. There are a few other things, but at the end of the day, right, you're like, who is writing me a check? How am I rebuilding my home? How am I replacing everything that I lost here? So $87,000 is it. The great part about this program is that it doesn't discriminate at all based on where you live. So you can live in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the country, and you can live in downtown San Francisco, and $87,000 is the exact same that everybody gets. It is not based on living standards at all. It is just one across the board.
Place that's really great.
Yeah. Do note though that it is very hard to get there. Those who do get there have usually lost everything. So during our floods in January, we had under 35 households qualify for the 43,600 under housing assistance. And we had thousands of people approved for FEMA. Other needs assessment, under 5 households. So it is very tough to get to that point. And again, I can guarantee you that those 5 households that made it there were hurting. I mean, they had lost everything, probably near homelessness. Major disaster federal programs. Wanted to talk again a little bit about Small Business Administration. They usually dwarf the numbers of the FEMA folks. And so physical disaster loans, $500,000 for repairs to primary residence. So again, it's a loan, under 4%, deferred payments for 12 months, but $500,000 in a low interest loan to help you repair or replace your home. $100,000 in personal property replacement, not a bad deal. Again, first payment deferred for 12 months, interest rates below 4%. These folks are going to come to town probably 9 times out of 10 as opposed to FEMA. Big thing here for January, over 450 loans were approved for that event. They gave out over $25 million in the community. For the business side of it, you can get up to $2 million for normal expenses, continuation of healthcare, benefits, rent, utilities. No one in here is a business owner, but if you were, they gave out 80 loans for $6 million. So you can see those numbers are vastly greater than what FEMA is giving out. Long-term recovery heroes, public, right, interest will fade. Palisades, Eaton, right, everyone wants to help during those first weeks, maybe even a couple months, but a year later, everyone's moved on. Government assistance won't make you whole. I've already told you that. 87,000, even if we got there, is what we would get at the maximum amount, and that's probably not enough. Major donations, public interest, right? They will all start to slowly fade away, and you will be left again. Where am I going? What am I doing? These folks here, and there are only a few of them because I couldn't make a big enough slide for this, all the unsung heroes of what we call long-term recovery. We work with all these folks. These are the people, the non-governmental side of the house that will be there for the long term, that will help you navigate case management, housing, food, medical supplies, replacements. All of these folks are really, again, those major stakeholders that you get connected with at local assistance centers and through some of our case managers. But these folks, again, are really the long-term recovery heroes, not the government. The government is only there to get you through that first initial piece. You have to get connected with these folks for long-term recovery. Common disaster myths. This is my last piece. How much time do I have left? Am I doing okay?
You're doing great.
Okay, perfect. Common disaster myths. Love this section only because a lot of misinformation out there about disaster recovery. So if a disaster is bad enough, the government will take care of those impacted. The reason I put it in quotes is because your version, right, of bad enough is my home is gone. The FEMA version is I want to see 1,000 homes gone before I'm ready to write checks. So definitely a myth there, right? Just because we had the Cochise fire, 6 families lost their homes, the feds are not coming to town. Governor's not proclaiming a state of emergency. If I have homeowners or renters insurance, it will cover all types of damage regardless of disasters, right? Nope. Flood, earthquake, even your homeowner's policy might be a little leery with the wildland fire piece of it, right? If you have a home fire, they might say, yeah, we do that, but not for a wildland fire. So read your policy, be aware of what it covers. Government disaster assistance is approved quickly at all levels and flexible to respond to community needs. Sometimes, but I wouldn't roll the dice with that, right?
Yeah.
Palisades Eaton, next day. Valley Fire, month and a half later. The floods, about a month. It took us that long to get federal assistance. Government assistance is the only type, government assistance is the only type of disaster assistance available to survivors. Untrue. Non-governmental partners, again, unsung heroes, long-term recovery. A lot of resources out there. You got to get connected with them. Don't think the government is the only player in the space. Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, will show up every disaster, big or small, and offer assistance. Nope. And it's only becoming harder, folks. It is really going to be hard to get them here outside of a major disaster. Everyone who applies for FEMA assistance will get a different maximum amount based on factors like where you live, your income, your savings, your insurance. Nope, $87,600, that's it. Every year they do reevaluate it very slightly. Maybe it goes up 1,000 or so. It is not going to compete with inflation or cost of living here in San Diego. And just so, like I said, you can live in Kansas, Florida, San Francisco, Vermont, doesn't matter. $87,600 is what it is right now. It's probably actually going to change here because we're in October in about a month, but it'll go up incrementally. If I receive FEMA assistance money, it will be considered income and I will have to pay taxes on it. I don't know why that is like the hardest thing to like combat. That is not true. It is not taxable income. It's grant money that you can get. FEMA tries their best every time to like dispel that myth, but it always gets out there and just kind of takes off. If I have insurance, FEMA will never approve me for any assistance. I could add SBA in there too, the Small Business Administration. You should absolutely apply for everything if you were impacted by a disaster. Don't think just because your insurance is going to pay a piece of it that you're going to be discounted from these other folks. If things are available, you should apply at every single resource possible and let them tell you no. FEMA is the only major source of federal disaster recovery assistance for residents and businesses. Again, unfortunately, the wording is weird, but Small Business Administration can be there to help. It is for private homeowners and residents. You should absolutely apply to those. FEMA is not the only game in town, and disaster recovery happens quickly. It can be slow and complex. And so if you are returning to your home and you have the folks in the floods completely flooded out, right? Water came up 5-10 feet. Fires, you come back to a burned parcel, that is just devastating. And you are left wondering, how do I navigate this? You cannot rely on the government to swoop in there day 2 and all of a sudden provide you housing and food and all these things, right? There is going to be a delay in evaluating the impacts and then providing those resources. This is a little bit of a summary. So insurance, preparedness, mitigation are the best tools. Get insurance, know your risk, be prepared, right? Fill out these booklets that we've provided for you. Mitigation, we live in a high fire threat zone. Removal of brush, right? Hardening your home. All of those things are what you can do best to, again, avoid this recovery stage. Be informed, stay informed, no different than any other phase. tap into the websites, the apps, make sure you're informed of what's being approved and what's out there. If you are asked to report damages, so that survey that I mentioned, report it, right? That reverse messaging, that contact point with you is the only way that we are getting that through that survey. If we don't get that survey, it is very hard to contact you otherwise. Government assistance can be slow and it's not enough, but it is something, right? $87,000 is still $87,000. A low interest loan for $500,000 is still a low interest loan for $500,000. So you should absolutely come to the local assistance centers, come to the disaster recovery centers, apply for every program that is eligible for our residents. And then long-term recovery is led by nonprofits, not the government. So you got to get connected with those people if we have a major disaster. All right, that's it. Any questions? Yes.
What, in your homeowner's insurance, what do you find? In your homeowner's insurance, what do you find is the most lacking?
I think it really comes down to that, just like the nuances of it. And so like the flood piece where it says, oh, covers water damage. And you think, okay, water damage from the outside. And your insurance goes, oh, no, only inside out. Fire, same thing. It says home fires covered, but not wildland fires covered. So I think that lacking piece of like how the hazard happens is probably the thing that we see the most. But I'm not a subject matter expert in insurance. It's not really my area of expertise. And that's why we just say everyone's policy is different. Everybody provider is different. So it really comes down to reading it and then having those conversations. Did I like bring down the mood in the room? It's like, my presentations are always last and like kind of a down.
You said be sure to fill out forms. Is there something in this book you should show us specifically?
Or just,
It's a workbook. You should go through it and fill it out.
Yeah, the other book that we provided is the Disaster Red Guide to Recovery. It just has, it was made by a firefighter several years back, and we try to print those out and hand those out to the community. It is basically a how-to guide for recovery. It's not going to cover everything, but it tries to at least lump those recovery steps into certain categories and then really break it down for you to navigate the recovery process. So keep those books, and then obviously, if you need to, read them.
So, reverse. speaking that you're
Yeah.
talking about, and the form that you should fill out so you know.
Mhm.
that I think is what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, yes. So the form, so the survey, the reverse messaging piece, so that will be activated if we have an event.
Okay.
So once an event, once an event is, if it's big, like the Coach's Fire, we didn't do it. But for the floods, things gone, that's fine. We basically posted things and said, hey, have you been impacted? Fill out this survey, click this link here, and then you could do it from your mobile device or a laptop. So yeah, that would come during the disaster.
What?
Oh.
Sit around.
They're up here.
There's a few more up here. Yeah.
So people can grab one on their way out,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, and we can bring more too if we don't have enough. I mean, we're right down the street, so we can always bring another box and help people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between City of San Diego incidents and County of San Diego incidents?
Yeah, so you are all City of San Diego residents, I assume? Okay. So there is what we call jurisdictional boundaries. So we are from the County Office of Emergency Services. You also have the City Office of Emergency Services. So if you had a large event in the city, it's possible that their Office of Emergency Services would actually take the lead. However, we as the county are what they call the operational area. So we are basically there to support all 18 cities, 18 tribes, our special districts like the airport, the port, the water districts, the school districts. So we kind of help guide them and everything, but at the end of the day, it's really your local city OES department that would probably be the lead for most incidents. So that's why you hear from San Diego Police Department when you have evacuations. That's why you hear from the San Diego Fire Department when you have a fire here, right? On the county side, we're CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Department. So there is some differences there. We work together, but usually they would be the lead for the city incidents. What else?
So we're just sort of stuck. If we have our insurance policy.
Yep.
We have FEMA that could give us that $86,000. And we have nonprofits.
Yep.
So those are the three buckets that we should
Small business.
considered our replacement, right?
Yeah,
Low income loan.
And
Yeah.
small business.
And a low income loan.
yep, low income.
4%
Yes.
interest.
Yeah, so the low interest loans, FEMA assistance is the grant money. Then you've got your insurance policy, which is hopefully helping you out in some way, shape, or form. And then really we have our nonprofit partners, and each of them has, again, different thresholds for what they can provide. Like I said, like Red Cross is not going to write you a check for 50,000 or anything like that. They may provide you some assistance with the debris removal. Another thing, we've got nonprofits that would help with debris removal cost. But again, there's always not enough to go around. We had over, like I said, probably 2,000 homes impacted by the floods. So it kind of becomes a little bit of an individual game at some point.
Cody.
FEMA and the SBA gonna wait until they see how much insurance.
The people at home.
With what you told us about FEMA payments and the SBA payments, are those two organizations going to wait until they find out how much your insurance is paying?
You know, I don't know. Unfortunately, from the federal side, they keep a lot of that close to the chest. Like, I don't even know what the application process looks like. I don't know what takes you from the 87,000 down to 5,000. Everyone is different. I know they evaluate everybody individually on that. And so they're going to say, you know, is your home still livable? Do you have two incomes? Are you on a fixed income? Stuff like that. So it's hard to say. I don't know how fast. I've seen it move quickly sometimes too. So FEMA will have certain requirements, documentation, questions that they need answered. And so some people move through very quickly. Other people struggle a little bit. It also depends how big and how bad the disaster is. Luckily, we haven't had one here. You've probably all seen the articles about cutting federal employees, scaling things back. I don't know if that will impact things in the future. So it's hard to say.
If you should find yourself at one of these LACs with the 45 service providers, do you get triaged, or do you have to know how to navigate your way around to which of the 45 service providers are applicable to your circumstances?
Good question. We have learned hard lessons about that. So the floods was great in the sense that we modified our approach. And so what we did was we actually created what we call a local assistance center guide, and then we color coded it. We said these are blue, so local county departments, orange is non-governmental, green is state, and then we positioned them in 3 corners of the area. And then what we did was we had our intake table where you filled out a quick form, provided some information. And then once you came in, before you got to the service providers, we almost had what we call an informational table. And so we had several of our county employees there giving you the guide, asking you some of those questions. Hey, what are you here for? Hey, I need to rebuild. Okay, well, you want to talk to planning and development services. You see they're here on the map. They're blue. They're going to be on the left-hand side. I need my license replaced that I lost at the DMV. Okay, so that's green. It's going to be the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, over for our state folks. They're going to be on the right-hand side. Make your way over there. We have runners. We have everybody in vest, and so you kind of understand who does what. Anybody in a red vest is informational that can help you out, and then anybody in a blue vest was a runner who can, again, kind of pivot.
They're the Walmart greeters.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we tried to mirror it off of what people know. And so we tried to tailor our approach, white glove service, everything, because we know, right, many folks that are showing up to these have lost everything. They're probably still in shock. God forbid they lost a loved one and they're trying to navigate those recovery services. And it can seem overwhelming, right? Where do I go for 45 service providers? And so we have a lot of folks there to kind of help navigate people through that process. We also have translators too. We found that out. We had Arabic, we had Spanish, we had Italian. And so we had a few other translators to kind of help people out with those services as well.
Hi, I want to add another complexity to this.
Yeah.
You may have it all set up in there, but what do you do when you have a group of seniors who are getting older every day, and who knows when that event's going to happen, if it's going to happen, but if it happens and they aren't able to navigate what you have thoughtfully put together, and would be probably much easier for the younger population to navigate. How, is there something available? Have you guys thought about this population, the aging population, what they're going to need to help navigate all of this?
Yeah, and I think we try to take a tailored approach, and that's why we try to do different avenues, right? So like when we have public information, new things are coming online, we're going to put it on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook for that generation to say, this is how you mostly do it. We're going to put on a press conference. Like I imagine, does everyone in here mostly do like news and press conferences? Is that how you would receive most of your information? I don't know.
Can't speak for everybody.
Okay. So yeah, so like, that's why I talked about, right? So we would do it through social media for the younger generation. We would work with our news outlets to run stories of what's available. We would do a press conference to talk about what's available. We would push through the app. So if you download the app, you could get a notification. The website, to navigate the website for that. So we try to hit a different avenues and stuff like that. It's not always going to be perfect, I would say. That's why we do local assistance centers virtually. I mean, we could throw all the resources online and just say, here are the phone numbers, here are the resources, right? But we know that's not going to work. So that's why we do that brick and mortar. Hey, here's the location. We're going to open for a few days. We try to do some public messaging prior to it. This is opening. You should come and visit it. It's a brick and mortar site, face to face. So we try to do different avenues.
Okay, I'm actually speaking about, is there I'll call it a nonprofit group, I don't know, that is set up to assist seniors during this kind of a thing? I'm talking about going to that LAC, finding out what's available, going to all of the nonprofits, finding out what's available, something that's going to help a population that's not going to have the energy, possibly other things they're not going to have to be able to navigate all that.
Yeah.
If they're, like you said, if someone has a disability.
Yeah.
How are they not, if they can't get to this LLC, how would they get? Then, do they get the
Even
same
if they're
services?
there,
It's-
it's stability.
Yeah, well, if they can't get, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help you.
And
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different services. So I would say no, there's not like a perfect key that's going to say, yep, we would come to your home, like the nonprofit that would send someone to your home to sit down with you to
No.
walk you through it or anything like that.
Maybe one of those greeters.
Yeah,
Just go into one of our arms and take us around.
but you're saying it's a long process. How do you case manage yourself through, make sure you do everything?
I think the thing I want to really make clear is that there is something called the graying of America, and there's many of us that are getting older and they're not going to have the energy or the ability to do all, and maybe even understand. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that happens as we get older.
Yeah.
And I want the younger people to think about that and put something in place to assist us, because there's more and more of us growing that gray ladder.
I bet there may be some throws.
Yeah.
Need to figure out what that is.
Yeah, there is a case management, like Red Cross actually assigns you a case manager. So if they have like a home fire or anything like that, they'll follow up with you like a week or two later and help navigate some of those resources. So there are nonprofits out there, but I wouldn't say there's one that's specifically geared towards seniors and navigating it. But that's why, again, we talk about if we have a disaster and those nonprofits do come into play, that's why hooking you up with them hand in hand is so important, because although we don't have those services to offer, many of the non-governmental folks do, and they have thought of that. And so I would say those case managers, to Edwin's point, when we have a major disaster, FEMA will bring in case management and they will start assigning. So you'll have somebody there who's like kind of a case manager for a while. We also have, sorry, not to go off on a longer tangent, but for the Coaches Fire, we have a planning development services liaison. And so what that person's responsibility is to actually talk to the families that lost their home and walk them through the rebuilding, the permitting. We just had a board letter that was approved for waiving all the rebuilding fees. And so he's kind of in communication with them and checking in with them on a weekly basis to let them know like what resources are available. Not that it'd be available every time, and not that poor Jason could do like 1,000 people. But I think there's different avenues. So we're always trying to do our best, but I understand there's a gap.
Thank you.
So one of the things that was brought up at the conference we went to that we're going to talk about later, but now it totally ties into this, is I had dinner with a group of villagers from the Paradise region. And so one of the main things they talked about as far as villagers helping each other was that after the fire, when they started doing outreach to their members, people didn't have their address or emergency information updated in their village website. They didn't have like a relative, so if they couldn't get a hold of me, maybe my daughter or someone else they could reach out to say, you know, where's your mom? So the big message there really was that everyone, please make sure you have your most updated information on our website so that we can help each other out after a disaster.
So you guys have like a phone tree, like a mailing list or something like that?
An emergency contact.
Emergency contact?
Yeah, we have neighborhood groups that
Okay.
can help, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that.
We need to have this information. We ask for it on a regular basis. Because, I mean, several times a month, we have to reach somebody.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be a matter of life and death, or, you know, we don't know. So it really is important. I didn't mean to butt in.
For the care committee, it's very important that that's updated as well. But also just helping each other out, having that information updated is really helpful.
That's great if you all have that. I mean, that's to your point, like that is 100% critical, right? Like knowledge is power in the recovery space. Like the more connected you all are with each other, the more word can spread once things are either approved or opening. That's really what is the game changer, right? There's nothing worse than saying, I had no idea the local assistance center opened and it's already closed and I missed it completely. Or FEMA assistance, there is a time window, there's a deadline for it. And so, right, doing that emergency contact, calling everybody again and saying, hey, just wanted to confirm, everyone knows that FEMA assistance was approved, right? And that the deadline is coming up next week. If you haven't approved, make sure you do that. So that's awesome that you all have that.
I want to add to that for the floods, I work with.
Come up, yeah, thanks.
And nobody can hear you.
Yeah, so for the 2024 floods in January, I work with the VOAD, so the Volunteer Organizations Active in Disasters. And still, I think to a couple weeks ago, they're still finding homes that need to be mucked out, have to have debris removed, that still have mold. Because the homeowner just didn't know that there was assistance. So that's almost a year, right?
Oh, over it.
Over a year, yeah. So over a year that people didn't know this. So yeah, having that community and being able to like share with each other, that's absolutely amazing because that's something that they did not have.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We have a few more books up here, and I'll leave this box with more preparedness plans. If you guys want to take some more, I'll leave it here.
And it looks like, you know, we had the consequence. Edwin is going to come back. Edwin is going to come back and talk about evacuation because we don't know anything about how, right now we're depending on our neighborhood captains to help us if we were to have an emergency. Yes, ma'am.
You guys were the best speakers we ever had that nobody wants to see again.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Prepare Terra Santa will definitely take.
Thank you again.
And they know how
Thank
to
you.
discuss as well when you have special requests. So,
Will be heard, I'm sure. Yeah.
Kevin was like, you wanted to. It's like perfect.
Thank you so much for coming.
Run more boxes of booklets or anything like that. It's not.
Yeah, just let me know. And I live in Tierra Santa, which is
He's part of our group. He's part of Prepare Terra Santa. No, I'm saying we have really some dirt train, fire and rescue. We've got some really great people in our crew. So now we just gotta get organized and see what exactly we want to tackle first.
Okay.
And I'm thinking wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Well, that was really good. And informative, you know, so. Okay, so we're gonna move a little bit to the committee corner. And we're going to review the Village Movement California Conference. So if Patty, Linda, Jenny, and Cassandra can come up, we'll give our reports. Since I'm here, I'll start. My topic was the missing middle. I don't know how many of you know about the missing middle, but we're all the missing middle. The part that is really bad about this is the good part about it is the village movement has gotten to be very active and involved in the master plan for aging, which is our state plan to help us to age in place and age well. The missing middle is basically there are a lot of us who earn too much money to qualify for Medicaid. And when we need long-term services, and we earn too little to afford private living, assisted living, or caregivers to come into our house. So it puts us in a very precarious position. Even if you were to sell your house and try to get rid of all of your assets, you would still have too much money to qualify for a lot of the things that poor people do have afforded them. So what we're trying to do is to be able to look at how we can address these needs. In AIS, I'm always the one, they say this is Mulvey's thing because it is. The missing middle is where I am. So what happens, it's fine if you have one spouse because you put all the money towards that, and then you're left with, now how do I pay for me when I get old and I need assistance and I don't have the money for that? So, I mean, it is a definite problem, and the state is just beginning to realize that this is a big proportion of our population. And so hopefully as time goes on, we'll have more resources than we do now. So is there any questions about the missing middle that I can address? Okay, next is Patty.
We got that in order.
Okay, well, Linda, you can, I don't care. We all went to Sacramento together.
So for me, being new to the village, and even though I've been a member for about a year and a half, I really hadn't participated much in things because I was still working. So first, it was an honor to go, and I thank the board for letting me do that. But just a few takeaways for me was I was in awe of the professional speakers and how well the conference was put on. It's the 7th annual conference. You would have thought they'd been doing this for 20 years. It was amazing. They had excellent speakers, very knowledgeable. It's and in my field of work, I used to go to 1 or 2 conferences like every year, and the vendors were involved. Usually they're sitting off to the side and you only talk to them maybe during a lunch break or whatever, but they were actively involved in sitting in the room with us. So it was extremely well done. So I wanted to bring that up. We got a lot of good information to bring back. One of the biggest takeaways, which I heard they said over and over again, is that they need to almost hear the voice of the members. So your state and local legislatures, leaders need to hear from us as to what our struggles are. And one of the things is the gaps in the middle class, or the missing middle, thank you. The gaps of that, they have to hear your stories. So that's one thing that they were really encouraging the villagers to do, is to engage with your local leaders, hear your stories, your personal struggles that you went through, to really kind of move that needle to get them to understand that this is a problem. So hearing your voices is going to be extremely important. I know Cassandra had an awful lot of takeaways. And moving from just a social type committee to more services and stuff like that. It was a great networking piece. That was the other thing. Even though all the villagers, I think there's 50 villages within the state of California, even though they have a monthly Zoom, being able to be in the same room and talking to each other and networking and learning what works for them, what doesn't, it was just invaluable. So it was really just a great conference from my point of view.
Thank you.
And I think Patty's going to talk about, there was a physician there, a geriatric physician, who talked about how loneliness and isolation affects the elderly. So that's Patty's talk.
Thanks, Linda.
So, on Friday morning, our keynote speaker, well, that sounds loud. Her name was Dr. Carla Parisi Noto, I think is how you pronounce her name. She was a really good speaker. She talked about social isolation and loneliness and how it affects the elderly. The way she described it is, she said loneliness is more of an emotion. She said people can feel lonely even if they're in a group of people, but social isolation is when people are actually isolated for various reasons in their house and they can't get out. Some of the reasons that she gave for social isolation was someone who's lost a loved one and is alone, people who have reduced mobility so they can't get out and go to activities, transportation challenges, hearing and vision losses, which I know a lot of people that don't go to activities because they have trouble hearing or seeing, and it's a big challenge for them. And also people who have anxiety can become socially isolated. She said almost 4 out of 5 older adults are lonely, which I just thought was really staggering. And that social isolation doubles in the last 6 months of a person's life. The current population of adults over 65 is 55 million. And of that 55 million, 13.75 million are socially isolated. She said, doctors don't ask about loneliness or isolation. You know, you go in and you do your monthly assessments and doctors ask you a lot of questions, but that's one thing that they don't ask. And I kind of went, when I thought about that, I wondered if part of the reason they don't is because they don't really feel like there's anything they can do about it. You know, doctors want things that they can solve. And if someone tells them, yes, I'm lonely or I feel isolated, what are they going to do about it? So it's just not something that they do. She said older adults want social groups, peer support, and in-person activities. They don't care about text messaging. She said social robots. I'm not really sure what a social robot is, or AI. Things that are important to younger people are not important to us. And then she talked a lot about the role that villages have about keeping people connected and providing activities and all the things that we do. And I had never looked at the mission of our village before. And it's that it's to provide activities that reduce isolation and loneliness. And that's what she talked about. And, you know, it's part of her research is the villages and how they work together. So it was really interesting. So if you go to the website for Village Movement California, the whole agenda for the conference is listed there, and you can actually look through all the like click on the different slides and look at the whole presentation. And if you feel like you want to do that, she had a lot of really interesting information that I don't have time to go into, so that'd be really beneficial.
Actually, they talked about term social prescriptions, that they are working closely with hospitals and doctors and to make them aware of what local communities and villages have to offer so that a doctor can prescribe. Oh, I'm excited about talking. So that a doctor can actually prescribe a village if they're aware of it. So that's where our stories come in, where we let people know. And so I thought that was interesting, that term. All right, mine, and by the way, number 8 on your agenda says President's message, but you don't need to hear me twice. So this is it right here. My part of the conference is talking about how we're going to move forward with a collective vision with the Village Move at California. The information that we received in this conference reaffirmed that the Village Move at California and Tierrasanta Village are a connected network, moving together with a collective vision. We both want to ensure that members have support we need to age well in our homes. And that's what they're advocating as well for all villages. At the conference, the board of directors from the Village Movement California, which
as Linda said, we're very impressive. This led by a board of highly intelligent professional people who are working hard to advocate for everything that we want to see. They actually listed 5 key success indicators that they'd like to see in every village. So they'd like to see, number 1, villages with diversified, sustainable funding. And number 2, villages with strong volunteer engagement. Number 3, leaders prepared for succession and growth. 4, villages benefiting from effective strategies related to aging. And 5, members receiving enhanced support as needs increase. So we have these same goals. And our village is fortunate to have a board of directors that take our finances seriously to ensure sustainability. We have members who step up to volunteer when needed. Through our member services implementation plan, we will seek trustworthy non-member volunteers that will help our members as needs increased. Through our supportive sponsors and our care committee that sets up speakers, we're going to continue to focus on effective strategies related to aging well. And we're also going to take advantage of the connections that we learned through the Village Movement California. They offer workshops through Zoom. One is called an accelerator workshop, where they work with villages who are established like we are, but discuss various needs that we have. Next month, our board is going to be holding our annual all-day retreat. We're going to be working on spending time on several things, but primary focus will be our strategic plan and the goals that the Village Movement California have set out for all villages will certainly be of value to us as we work on our strategic plan. But as we continue all of this challenging work, it's going to be important that we get member input as well. So not only is what we've learned from the conference valuable, but we want input. Your value as members towards our strategic plan is going to be important too.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything's still connected?
Yep, there we go.
Get me out of here.
So officially, I am reporting from the conference on advocacy. But I have to tell you about what I thought is always the most fun part of all of these events, which is networking. It is incredible to come together with villages who are all trying to do the same thing we are, and they're all so creative in the ways that they're doing this, and we're really learning from each other. So that's by far my favorite part. But I'll also tell you it's a necessity, I think, because the Village Movement is now in its 23rd, 24th year probably. It's brand new. There's not a lot of playbooks out there, either for staff or for the board and the leadership of the village. I think it's very hard for the board to make decisions when there isn't a lot of history as to how to do something or what's worked in the past. So I find these conferences incredibly valuable and fun. It's good to get to know other villages, and we speak offline. All villages are so helpful. If you've been in a leadership position with our village, you know that you could pick up the phone and call any village. They'd be happy to help you, and vice versa. I will tell you that it was very clear that all the villages there are very service heavy. And that is primarily, typically, that's a typical village model. But what's very interesting is now they are all coming to us wanting to be more social. So it's pretty amazing how that's come to be, and we're able to help each other out. So, and I know, Bradley, you helped with San Mateo Villages. They interviewed you for care committee, but they also interviewed for social. Anyway, so it was a wonderful conference. The message, though, of advocacy is really one that now there's 50 villages in California and over 250 across the country. And the boards feel that it is time now to really have our voices heard. You may remember that villages are in the state master plan on aging. So we are recognized as part of the plan to help people age in our state. So we need to make sure that our leaders hear from us and understand what our specific challenges are. So that's something definitely I'll be talking to the board with about, and that we will have plans for in our strategic plan. So yeah, the conference was amazing. And I would suggest that anybody who has interest in going in the future, I think you should definitely catch up with me or one of the board members and let that be known so that we can have you on the list for next year. So as long as I'm up here, I'm going to move, if that's okay, I'm going to move into, okay. Mark, would you please pull up the YouTube page? Who knows we have a Village YouTube page? Okay. All right. So thank you, IT team, for getting all of our recordings up onto our YouTube page. And yeah, thank you, because there's a couple ways to get to the YouTube page. Okay.
Why don't you tell them what that is? So
Give me a minute here because I want to make sure I share it so the people at home can see.
So thank you. So does anybody need a little information on YouTube that you can pretty much, and when it started, it was really for people to sit, put their own videos up and, you get your little 15 minutes of fame as a video YouTube influencer, but kind of like TikTok. But now it really is a video sharing and viewing platform. So other villages use this. We've kind of taken a lead from them. So whenever we have a filmed event where we have our team here that's able to record like this meeting right now, they are recording this. So if you were sick and you weren't able to come to the meeting, or if you were not able to leave the house that day, you have an injury or you are not comfortable or less mobile, you could just attend this meeting at another time that's convenient for you because it's recorded on YouTube. And that's the same thing with the Aging Eye presentation or all these other great presentations that the care committee and marketing put together. So it's at your fingertips and you can watch it whenever you'd like. So we're going to start. You should just know that if it's being recorded, we can
So we, just so you guys know, we know by the member who goes to the website and who doesn't go, how much time they spend there, what pages they look at. And so it's difficult to get to the YouTube page. See this icon in the upper left-hand corner?
It's like a play button.
Yeah,
That's Facebook.
that's the YouTube logo. There we are.
And that's all our videos. That's your Terasana Village YouTube page. Like our page within YouTube.
So this is all the content,
Yeah, that's the one we did the senior advice.
monthly meetings.
Scam Jam, Eating for Longevity. So even if you want to go back and rewatch something or you didn't catch Medicare 101, this will all be here. Now, Mark has done everyone a favor and he's also posted, you want to give an example of?
Yeah, sure. We'll go back to the homepage. I'll tell you a funny thing, incidentally, that remember during the AI presentation by Jonathan Swartz, I showed that Saturday night clip of Alexis Silva. When we went to post that to the website, the YouTube police caught up with us and wouldn't let us put that meeting video up there with that clip from Saturday night in there because it was a copyright violation. But anyway, if we go to our event calendar and we'll pick, let's go to September. Well, here we'll go to the member meeting and you'll see after the, there's a little bit of a delay. See in the red here, it's kind of hard to see, but it's unable to attend. See a replay of this event at the TVSD YouTube channel here. So we can go right to that.
Hello. All right. I think we can get started. Hi, everybody. I'm going to welcome everyone today. Good to see all of you. I apologize.
So we're going to try to be a little more diligent with this. If we go to the Aging Eye, unable to attend, see a replay of this event on the YouTube channel. Now make sure.
Okay. This is Dr. Johnson from Total Vision in Terasanta.
And those of you that were at that meeting, and we'll try to do more stuff like this as well. Well, those of you that were at that meeting, we talked about the form, the vision examination form that you can bring. So want the California DMV vision examination form discussed at this event? Get it here. So there you go. All right. So now for this meeting, there was one of the slides that Cody put up that had some key websites. There were like 4 or 5 of them. So there's a good example of how we can put this to use. So when we put the video up there, we'll also put the links to those disaster sites at the event. And it's a work in progress. If you really actually need them, it's going to be difficult to say, what month was that? What monthly
So just
meeting?
go to
was
the
it?
channel.
Yeah, so
Go to
we'll come up with other
channels.
ways to get to them too, but we're going to try to stay on top of enhancing these sort of things first.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. Thank you, IT team. Thank you. And I will just let you know, not all villages do this. So we are very blessed and lucky to have such a strong IT team. And they were able to build this whole hybrid model that lets us do this. Who has been going to the smartphone workshops? Okay. Now, those are events that were paid for by a grant through San Diego Seniors Community Day Foundation. So we did not plan the content of those. We are simply a host site. So are you guys liking those classes? Are you yeah. So what I noticed though is they're very I want to say shallow. Like they talk about one little topic, you get about this much info, and then they move on. So I am thrilled to announce our new IT partner. John, could you stand up for a minute and say hi so everyone can see you? This is John Atkinson. Yay! IT help. So I'm thrilled to have an IT supporting partner because that has been high on my list as far as supporting partners. I get very concerned for members who are not engaged with technology, maybe don't have a phone or don't have a computer, because more and more and more our lives are going to be reliant on it. And not just to age so that we can age in place better. We need to grasp technology. And also things like, grocery delivery and prescription delivery and telehealth. So that if you don't want to drive to the doctor and you can just log on real quick and see somebody, that's huge. So I'm really excited to work with John and come up with some classes that are much more in depth than the smartphone workshop. So John's suggestion, and I like this very much, is to sort of keep a pad. This is what he suggests to his clients. Keep a pad of technology that isn't being your friend, right? Like what's not working for you? What have you tried? What did you want to do and it didn't quite, you didn't get all the wrinkles out. So kind of keep a pad, and then I'm going to send a survey out. And please send all of your ideas for topics that you would like to know more about. And then John and I will meet. We'll meet in this room and we'll do some classes together. So, and I know John has lots of clients in this room. So he's also happy to help you at home with any at home, and not just computers, also audio, visual, all that, stereo systems, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Electricity.
Yeah, anything with electricity, you're good. John Atkinson Tech Help. He is on our supporting partner page. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, and if you have home base. So I think the internet's a little bit slow. Yeah. So thank you, John, for your partnership. We are grateful to have you as part of the village, and we look forward to creating some events together. Yeah.
I'm happy to support the mission.
Thank you. One last thing, we had to postpone a couple informational happy hours. Those are the events when we bring prospective members in and tell them about the village. So we finally are on schedule Wednesday, October 15th at 4 o'clock at the clubhouse. So please bring a friend or send a neighbor, anybody that you think might benefit from knowing more about the movement. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, we going to talk about care and wellness for a moment. And the big thing that we have coming up about the middle of the month, I believe it's the 17th, which is a Friday, is the start of a series of workshops on decluttering. This is, yeah, exactly. I'm sure if you all know, you walk into a house and it looks perfect, but if you open a drawer or a cabinet, it's stuffed, lots of stuff in there. So we're going to learn how to declutter in a way that's not going to be too painful. And so it's a series of workshops. So Janelle and I are going to do that. So that's the 17th Friday. It's 1 to or yeah, 1:30 to 3. Anyway, so that'll be it. So now we have the social committee, and I'm gonna say this, Sue. I don't know who else you're gonna have come up. Georgia, Sue, Denise, and Dick Benson. They're gonna talk about their good surprise. I want to say I put out a social connection thing because the last time you went to the trolley that goes during to the Holly Jolly Trolley is for the holidays. You go to neighborhoods and see all the Christmas lights and everything. I didn't get to go last time. So I'm starting a person who wants to go with me to this, and I put it out on social connections. And so far, there are 5 people who want to join us, and we'll probably go. We're looking at Wednesday, December the 10th, and we'll probably go out to an early dinner beforehand. But right now, I'm collecting people, and so if you're interested in doing that, then let me know. In Old Town. Yeah, and we'll carpool out to there, so. Anyway, so now the social committee, yay!
When we did it before, we got the whole trolley, so I'm not quite sure numbers.
You have to have this, so far we don't have enough, no, we will.
Well, I don't think people really know much about it until now,
Okay. well,
but it was really fun.
I thought I sent it out to everybody, but some people told me they didn't get it, so.
All right, show me if you didn't get it. Raise your hand if you didn't get it, because I didn't get it. Yeah. Okay.
Holly Jolly Trolley.
Well, the social committee is always working, and we love to keep your calendar full, so that's what we're doing. The Lafayette Hotel, we now have 20, so that's gonna be a lot of people. Just stick with us in our little group. I'm gonna go and talk to them again, but they're not real excited about giving us a tour, so we're gonna have to do the tour ourselves and then just maybe split up in different groups for lunch. Let's meet at McDonald's at about 12:15. I put on the calendar 1 to 3 that would be at the hotel, but if we meet at McDonald's at 12:15 and then try and carpool with our vetted drivers, that will work. If you are, your car is full and you have already made plans, just let me know and we'll meet you at the hotel at 1. Beware, the parking is awful. So go around the block. They own that whole city block and their little condos or apartments in the back. And sometimes there's more parking in the back. Our holiday party, December 8th at Valley High. We're going to have a planning committee meeting, but there's really not a whole lot to plan. Valley High does most of it. I will meet with the coordinator. I was supposed to call her today and ran out of time, but I will meet with the coordinator to look at the menu, and it will be very similar to what we had last year. 11:30. It's lunch. Yeah. And then how many want to go to Gaetano's tonight for dinner? Because I have to give them a count. Gaetano's. One?
Anybody was going. We didn't have it on the calendar. We didn't give everybody heads up. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
We usually go, so.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
So, okay, I just wanted to make a reminder because we usually try to have at least one event and each month, and Lafayette is one, and then we're also doing the ice cream social, which will be at the clubhouse on October 30th. Linda Bird is going to be one of the scoopers. And, yeah, so it's $5 at the door. There's gonna be lots of toppings. I think the cutoff is October 24th. Can you accommodate people if they just show up if you don't have a lot, or?
Would you prefer to have people? Because you need to buy the ice cream.
Come by the mic, come by the mic.
So first thing was there was a little glitch on the website where it allowed people to pay online. And it was supposed to be just collection at the door because the village, you know, they make more money if you're not using your credit card and stuff. But anyway, Cassandra,
I'm right here.
did we stop people being able to pay online or can they still?
They can still.
Okay, so it's a mixed blend of some people have paid and some people haven't.
Yeah, please
So
bring cash to the door.
has graciously volunteered
Yes.
to sit at the door and she'll collect the $5 for those of you who have not paid yet. So that's good. We'll have some scoopers. My daughter is actually going to help me. So I'm trying to get some of those younger members in here to kind of help us. But yeah, I would say we're trying to do, there's 4 tables outside and 4 tables inside. So we kind of base the number on that. But, you know, I would think you could have walk-ins. I don't know how much of a rush we would get, but it really, really is helpful if you sign up because that really helps us not over purchase products. So
I'm going to chime in here and say, please don't pay online. Just don't do it. I'm just finding out about this.
But yes,
You pay like $2 or $3 to process that $5.
yes, yeah.
So don't pay online and
Pay at the
after
door.
meeting, we'll see if we could shut that off.
couldn't do that. But anyway, it's October 30th. It's the day before Halloween. It's on a Thursday. Very casual. Just come after lunch. You know, you've had your lunch. You want something a little sweet.
What time is it?
1 to 3. I'm sorry, 1 to 2:30. Come and just get some ice cream and mingle with your other members. You don't have to do games or anything like that. You can just sit back and enjoy.
Just talk it.
Okay, Luann is going to talk about the gym show.
Yeah.
If you don't know me, I'm Luann Benton and my husband is Dick. He's the one that puts together the luncheon. I am the president of the San Diego Mineral and Gym Society for the last year, and I have 1 more year to go. I'm inundated with lots of work, and but anyways, one of them is I'm also the chair for the Jim Diego show. We put it on every year for the last 3 years. It was on hiatus for about 6 years, and we've done really well. It is, this is a picture, I'll pass it around, but we're holding it over at the Liberty Station Conference Center. It is not the marketplace in Liberty Station. It's not the arts district. This is like over where the, what do you call it? The Marine Corps training. MCRD is located. It's the concrete ship that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
There is the Marriott courtship or courtyard. Marriott Hotel is over there. Lots of parking. It's free. It's free to get in. There's several restaurants that are right there. So if you want to have lunch, my husband Dick is putting together through the Terrasana Village a luncheon, and they typically do it at 11:30. This is on November 1st, which is a Saturday, and also November 2nd on Sunday. The show runs from 10 in the morning until 6 on Saturday and 10 in the morning until 4 on Sunday, and then we end. We have door prizes. Typically, the grand prize is some kind of a amethyst cathedral, which is usually very pretty. You do not have to be there to win any of that stuff. So if you go on Saturday, and it won't be tickets won't be drawn until Sunday, starting at about 2:00. But you can go ahead and go, and you'll leave information on your ticket. And if it's drawn, you'll just have to pick it up down at San Diego Mineral and Gem Society, which is in the back end of Spanish Village of Balboa Park. So I do have, I'll pass that around just so you can see. That is the conference center, and that way you can kind of see the layout of all the dealers that come. We've had about 23, I think it was in the past, 23, 25. We've got 29 this year. We keep rearranging it just to try to get the best utilization of the space. And so we've been able to add 3 new dealers, but also all in all, there will probably be about 8 new dealers altogether. So there will be new things.
Is this an event on our calendar?
Yes.
Is it, how about if we put the link to I see there's, you got a web page up for the show.
Yeah, that actually goes to a flyer and it gives.
Yeah, well, we could put that link on the event page.
That'd be wonderful. Okay, I'll pass these around also. This doesn't require any money. It just is, you can just take it off. It's just to remind you of it so that you'll see it happening and it's coming up. Any questions?
So you can buy gems?
Gems.
Is it finished jewelry also?
Gems, it's everything. I mean, it's going to be gemologists that have cut stones that are also been set. There's going to be rough. So where I am president, San Diego Mineral and Gem Society, we teach people how to cut stones. This is one of them. How to polish it. And this is more the natural shape that it had. And I just polished it up and put a hole in it and made it a piece of jewelry. We do silversmithing. I teach rock carving. There's also sphere classes, faceting. So if you're interested in learning how to facet stones, $30 membership a year. And the classes are typically everybody is a volunteer. So anybody that's teaching is volunteering. I'm a volunteer as a president. But the classes are run according to when the instructors have time to teach. So you can look at the schedule and take a class. It's $6 for about a 2.5 hour, 3-hour class. And for a 6-hour class, it's $8. It's very, very inexpensive. And it's we do that kind of stuff, but people that are going to be bringing in the dealers that are going to be selling things, they're going to have minerals, they're going to have fossils, they're going to have things that are set in stone, that are in bracelets. We're also having a findings person there, business, so that if you find a stone, even if it's what we call a cabochon, is where if you have a piece of stone that's in a locket or a bracelet, and that's called a cabochon. So it's flat on the bottom and then it's been shaped all around and then it's been set. So we teach cabochon class. So there's going to be a lot of demonstrations also that out in the hallway so that you can see people with some of the machines there doing the things that we teach down at the San Diego Mineral and Gem.
Do you also have something that identifies stones? I mean, do you have people that can
Yeah.
identify and say, I got this from my mother and I don't know what it is?
Yes. There is a gemologist and she will be bringing in numerous gemologists throughout the whole time. You can bring in things that you don't know what it is and they will, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We used to have a mineralogist who would look at rocks, but he's no longer wanting to do that. I've not been able to find anybody that wants to. So many times though, there's always people there that are part of the society and we can help out. Or even the gemologists there many times know what the rocks are.
Workshops in Spanish Village then?
We're adjacent to Spanish Village. We're at the very end. As you go in, there's studios that go towards the outside. In the very back center is a large building, and that is San Diego Mineral and Gem. It's right behind what now is called Daniel's Coffee Cart. And but they're there 6 days out of the week. They're not there on Mondays.
That's where
The classes are there. We also have a museum there. We have a library. There's like 5 different workshops there. And the other thing that we have is, I said museum? Yeah, so the museum is there. We do lectures pretty much like the second and the fourth Monday of every month. So, and it's open to the public. It's all different kinds of topics. And so anytime that you want to go down, it starts at 7 on the second and the fourth. And typically mineralogy and gemology will switch on the second Monday. So they will talk about different things. And then I lead the general meeting, which is the fourth Monday. And I typically get speakers in and they will talk about different topics. So it's covering everything. And that's going to be the neat thing about it is with the new dealers that are coming in, it's kind of adding a different feel to it, I think, all in all. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you for your information. I went the first year and it was fascinating. I didn't know anything about rocks, but I learned an awful lot.
Jen, Denise, Denise is going to talk about, we were looking at a wine tour.
Yeah, back when the social committee came up with the calendar, we came up with an idea of going to Mexico to the Valle for a wine trip. And my buddy Linda Reese and I were supposed to be planning this together. And as probably most of you know, Linda had a tumble and isn't doing so great right now. So I tried to take this on myself and found that getting most tours to the Valle mean you cross the border, you walk across, and they pick you up and they take you. So over the course of the last month, I've found a couple of people willing to come to Tierra Santa. But the problem is the numbers far exceed what interest we've had so far. So my thought, and being how that was supposed to be the first week of November, that maybe let's try to go for spring or look at how many of us in a small group might be willing to go to the border and walk across and do it. Because the trip from Tierra Santa, there are people that will come, but we're talking a lot of problems associated with that. And particularly crossing back in what lane you can go in. A commercial vehicle for 29 to 52, we can go in the commercial lane. Numbers below that, you're going to have to go in the ready lane. And for those of you that don't cross the border often, there are 3 lanes. The ready is the middle, the second to the worst, I would say, and not desirable because you could be talking hours to cross. So I say, let's postpone it, or if there's a small group that would want to pursue it in a different way of either getting across, getting someone to come. We have a place in Rosarito, Dick and Linda have a place, of somehow meeting and then going from there. Yes, Anne said, can't we just all sleep at your house? It's not a hotel, and it's just a house. But I think we can work something out, but I just don't think, given the time frame and the difficulties that I haven't been able to really resolve on my own, I would feel more comfortable pushing it back or looking at a different option. Yeah, Vera?
But it would be a wine and food guild some years ago. We lots of people stuff in Mission Valley.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big shopping center parking lot. So a possibility would be if you had something like that and you could coordinate. I think there's 1 or 2 other village groups in San Diego. I know there's one that's somewhere like that. If you got enough interest from other village groups,
Cross-pollinate.
then they could meet in the shopping center a lot, which is how they did it with the wine and food guild. And then we had incredible. I mean, you don't want to do. Ours went from 6 in the morning until 1 the next morning. You don't want to do that. I mean, it was really a very extensive wine tour. But for a more more, abbreviated one.
Right.
You wanna get together with the other villages and have the sewer company meet down in Mission Valley, that might be a possibility.
Yeah, if you knew who that company was, the majority of them are not going to come across and pick you up for a small number of people. And then you add that extra time of transporting us from here to the border and then down. So one company's like, well, not 3, we're going to add that added time, 2 stops and a lunch. So it's just something that I don't feel comfortable in the amount of time that I've had by myself to do this, to say like, oh yeah, we're going to go the first week of November. So sorry about that. I was here to pitch it originally. Yeah, Patty. They do. They do. Yeah, I think we had talked about that, but our hope was like that it would just be us, that it would be more fun to just be us. And then not
Make
saying
no
that.
mistake about it, though. We're gonna go down there on a recon missions tomorrow morning. Just to make sure we keep the pump primed.
So we'll look into it and see if it's possible, or like I said, if there's a small amount of us that would be willing to walk across, and that's a lot easier. But the thought for me, because we do cross often, of what the ready lane time could be, I don't want to be responsible for that personally. Okay? Okay. You're welcome.
Well, so something maybe in the spring. We'll figure it out. Anyway, okay, so we're heading towards the end of this agenda. Marilyn and I talked this morning about the volunteer of the month. I have that person's name, but the gift card will have to wait. So the thank you card that goes with it and the gift card is gonna have to wait till she comes back, but she's coming back the 14th, I think it is, so it's not too far. So this person is on the board of directors at the present time. And he has been both involved with a honor flight and with the Afghan refugee project. He's a vetted driver, has driven many of our members to various activities, meetings, exercise classes, and through the time bank has given people rides to the airport, which is a very expensive proposition if you did it on your own. And he has also served on the IT team and was instrumental with the design team for our website. He has volunteered in the past when we all had the contract for Junior Jewish Family Services. We all went and helped put meal kits together. He was involved with that. So he's been very involved in our village for quite some time, and I would like to offer this volunteer of the month to Gunnar. We acknowledge that you've done a lot. That's what I'm saying. So.
And he's secretary.
Yeah, he's more than just on the board. I was trying to do it in a way, but I gave it away, and so I wasn't gonna say secretary, but I had to do it one time when he was gone. I don't know if you've ever done a 3-hour meeting. Well, it seems like that was 3 hours. I don't know if it was exactly. But it really was, I'd listen, I listened to it, I recorded it, so I wouldn't forget anything. So I'd listen to some and I'd write down some and I'd back up and listen. And I mean, it took me forever. He does it in a very short, he gets our minutes out within the week. I don't know how he does it because it took me forever. It's not a job anybody would want. So twice he should be volunteer of the month.
Left out the most important one. You got the third Thursday happy hour thing.
Yes, he did do that. Yes, for those of us who like this little social event, thank you very much for organizing it. Anyway, that was something she didn't forget. I mean, didn't remember because she doesn't go to those, but I do. Anyway, so then we move on to Cassandra. Do we have anybody? Well, I guess we have new members because that was her last thing. Okay, so we're here to the village vocals who are going to recognize our village people who have birthdays and anniversaries. I hope you have a list because I don't have it. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome.
You think I come unprepared?
No, not me. I knew you were prepared.
Okay, we have had 2 birthdays already this month. I'm sorry. Ginny's birthday was on October 1st. And October 3rd was Elizabeth Smith,
She's a new member.
a new member, okay? Is she here today?
She's
No. Okay, on October 10th, we had Chris Christian. Who's gonna, for Sue's, Chris.
We understand.
11th is Patricia Pent. October 15th is Joan McGeechee. October 17th, we have twins. We have Becky Lundenberg and Marilyn Bente, who I think is going to be back about on her birthday, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. And October 20th, we have Michael Meal. October 24th, we have Patty George. October 25th, we have Carol Bergert. Sorry if I said it wrong.
That's right.
October 29th, we have H.T. Link. And October 31st, we have Arlene Hitchcock. In addition to these wonderful birthdays, we have one anniversary, special anniversary, 24th anniversary for Greg and Fran.
Yay!
So Mike brought his pitch pipe so we can sing on tune, we hope. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear villagers. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
Here's my hat. Thank you. Did you wave that, Belinda?
That is such an important part of this meeting. All right, we have hit the end because we're not going to listen to Jenny again. And we don't, is there anybody who has any announcements?
I do.
First casual conversation at the clubhouse at 1, if anybody wants to join us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're starting a brand new, no agenda. We're just coming and talking. Isn't that what we do? We come together and talk.
I do, Bradley.
Oh, there's another. Ooh.
I do. It's me, Sheila.
Unmute yourself.
I did.
Unmute yourself.
I did. Okay. Elder Help is sponsoring again the Holiday Angels coming up. And I think you remember from last year, we collected gift cards from Target and Walmart for $25. And these seniors are shut-ins. They don't have many people. They have no one to celebrate with. And this might be the only gift they get. Everything has to be in by November 25th. And they need a holiday card to go with it, a handmade or a bought holiday card. You can buy the cards on Raise Right, but they need to be a card, not the sheet that prints out. So if you have any questions, email me and I'll put out another letter with Cassandra. Marilyn Bente and I are heading it. So thank you for helping shut-ins and sponsoring them.
Doesn't it? Thank you, Sheila. This was something a lot of us did last year.
Who
and
distributes cards?
Elder Help.
Sheila went to somebody who was in charge of it.
Elder Help. Elder Help.
Trying to answer it.
Oh.
Elder Help.
Elder Help.
Yeah, Elder Help.
Elder Help distributes everything.
All right, guess what? We've hit the end of the road. We're late. We went over. Please put your phones back in so you can listen if they ring. Thank you for coming. Good to see all of you.